Okay, hello everyone, Schwartz Fiat here. I wanted to try to give you guys hopefully a little quick review of Age of Wonders 3, highlighting some of the good points about it and the few problems that do exist. First off, I've been a fan of this series ever since the beginning. I've played all the previous games ad nauseum, and so I was really excited about Age of Wonders 3, and let me just say, folks, it did not disappoint. Age of Wonders 3 brings with it something that what fans have been wanting. I was a little initially concerned because people were saying, "Oh, it's going to be like Civilization or Total War," but it's not. It is and still and remains an Age of Wonders game. So that means some of the previous features that Age of Wonders fans have loved are back. The wonderful random map generator that was introduced in Age of Wonders Shadow Magic is back. So you can completely customize the map to your liking to where you can have something that can be done in an afternoon, or a map like I enjoy with continents or islands that will take a very long time. It comes also with the wonderful difficulty curve where the first couple difficulties are pretty easy to take care of, but then as you get into the harder levels it does get significantly more challenging, but it maintains the beauty that the series has been known for, in that the much harder difficulties you never really feel like you have absolutely no chance of winning, which is great because every time before when I played on the hard difficulties and lost, it's like, okay, I know what I did wrong here. I didn't account for that. Or, I mean, in one battle, for example, that I did recently here in Age of Wonders 3, I went in, I lost my hero and everything, and I lost about half my army. I won, but I was like, there's got to be a way I could do this better. And then so I went back in, but at different positions. Same units, same abilities, but completely different positions. I won that battle with no casualties. So just simple stuff like that is amazing. You still have the ability, like in most games, to adjust the difficulty of your friends and enemies. One other beautiful thing about it is they've changed the leaders now back to the original Age of Wonders style, and that means they can participate in combat, which is awesome. Age of Wonders 2 basically had your leaders as wizards in a tower, so if you wanted to play as like an orc that had your leader right in the midst of battle, busting heads, well, you couldn't do that in Age of Wonders 2, but you can now in 3. It has several different heroes, and the best part is you can create your own. So this was the first hero I created here, an Elven Archdruid. And that's one of the things about it, is they have different classes now. You can be a warlord, an archdruid, a juggernaut, a rogue, a sorcerer, or a theocrat. And these classes not only affect the abilities that you have in or not so much spells, but the abilities that you have in combat, they also affect what units you can have. So for example, if, by playing as an archdruid, I found that I can bring in, elven archers into, or not elven archers, hunter archers into the game. I can summon a powerful thorn god. I have the ability to summon wild animals to my will, bring them in to help me in combat. Whereas if you played as a juggernaut, theoretically you could bring in tanks, flame tanks, heavy cannons, all that stuff. There is unfortunately a distinct lack of races. Some people have cited this as a problem, and in some ways it kind of is, because to be blunt, fans of the Age of Wonders series, like myself, there's some races that we've come to know and love, like the Frostlings, the Azarks, and, more importantly, like the Undead. Why the Undead aren't here, I don't know, but you just have the Draconians, High Elves, Humans, Orcs, Goblins, and Dwarves. That's it. One thing it does change differently in Age of Wonders 3 is your alignment, either good or evil, is based upon your actions. So, and you can, even though there are limited races, you can balance this out by having different classes. So for example, if you're like me and you really love both the elves and dark elves, well then you could basically do like I do for my main one, have play on the good side as a high elf archdruid and caring about nature, or you could be as a high elf juggernaut that could care less about nature and is just worried about destroying everything in her path. Or you could be an elven rogue and summon units of the shadows and then do a lot of evil actions and try to emulate being similar to a dark elf and that kind of stuff. But still, the distinct lack of races is annoying, but with the different classes, you're basically now, with what races that are here, you're able to play your way. You have your specializations too. And these will affect what you can summon, what spells you have access to, as well as some other abilities. Like just a couple abilities here. It only has expanders and like or some other stuff. Wait, no, I don't want to deal with him. One thing though I do like about it is it has more customization now. With your heroes. Before, when you created your leader, it was just a portrait that you had to pick from, but now you can, change your face type in a way very similar to what you would experience if you played in a, like if you're creating a character in an MMO, for example. So you have that. Let's say you can also, you can change for your portrait, you can change the style, your symbol as well. Even the background for your character, which is awesome. It allows for more customization, so at least your leader's looks, allowing you to become more attached to your hero, which is what I like. Alright, now as far as actual gameplay goes, one of the things that I really like is in terms of combat, it's a lot more informative now. I'm not really going to bother going into this too much in detail because I'm going to have uploads of some combat that I have. Both replays, and I have one that is basically a recording of it as it happens. So you can kind of see there, but just to give you a rough idea, there's a lot more information now in combat. So if you're going to attack someone, it's going to say about roughly how much damage you're going to do, how many times you're going to attack, is the enemy going to counterattack. Not only that, it's going to show you the buffs and other things that are going to affect your strike. Or, it lets you know, hey, the enemy is going to strike first, so you need to be prepared for that. So if you see something like that, then you'll know that. I can just get into a quick combat here just to show you. It shouldn't take too long. Just me against a succubi. The color coding of your movement from the Age of Wonders 2 is back. Basically, for those unfamiliar with that, as you can see what that means here. So basically, if I just only move within the green area when that succubi attacks me, I'm going to be able to retaliate up to 3 times. But if I were to move into the yellow area, I would only be able to retaliate up to twice. So if I were to theoretically move there and then she attacks, she would be able to do 3 attacks because that would be within her green range, but I would only be able to counterattack twice. But so what we're going to do right here is you can change over. We're going to do our lightning strike, and as you can see, it'll show her health, and it'll say I'm doing 13 to 19 shocking damage, and I have a 34% chance of stunning her for 1 turn. And so with things like that, with like the seduce abilities and all that, it gives you your percentage chance of whether or not it's going to be successful or not. So for example, and one of the beautiful things about it is by selecting them, like for example, you can see like her seduce ability has a strength of level 11. Now this guy's resist ability is a resist of level 13. Now some units though, if they have like mind control immunity and all that stuff, well then they're immune to that. But that kind of information is very helpful. Not only that, like as you can see, I'm going to strike her. It says a strike's going to do 15 to 23 damage times 3. And then overlooking on where my Thorn God is, or whatever he's called, it's going to say target will retaliate, but for 6 to 8 damage times 3. And it says +1 melee combat strength. So she has the advantage of melee combat strength, but it looks like we're going to out-damage her, so we strike, because in the green zone we'll do 3 strikes. Or ideally, I guess he only does 2, I don't know. But now she's badly hurt. But because she exhausted all her strikes and moves in retaliation, she's not going to be able to move now. So we're going to be able to get the first strike on her again, and boom, she's dead. Awesome. But yeah, combat is definitely a lot more informative now. And if there's something that happened too fast for you theoretically, or something like that, you can just go back to the replay and see it again. The game comes now with a history of all your events, if you want to replay them. from the very beginning. So pretty much every battle you fight, all that. It pretty much shows it here, so that's a good thing. So you can go back and replay your. Anyways, but aside from that, like I say, I want to try to be quick here. Some of the overall features. Your city building is back, similar to Age of Wonders 2, where you build a bunch of different buildings and these affect your empire. Some of these can be very useful, like, for example, the high-end Great Palace. For every Great Palace you can have one per city. It adds 10 more mana to your total heroes casting points per day, which is awesome. Research is back. You can research both spells and empire-wide upgrades. One thing I did notice, though, I'm only in turn 138, and I'm pretty much researching the last thing I can research, so that's kind of I don't know. But overall, the game plays very much like a traditional Age of Wonders does, with some new advantages. For example, the builders can no longer just build roads and towers and rebuild structures. You can also build forts and castles, or forts which you can then upgrade to castles. These expand your domain. Another beautiful thing about it is, this is a grave site, and you may say, why would I want a grave in my domain? Well, basically, all treasure sites now, once cleared out, you've got the treasure from them, will provide bonuses to you if they're within your domain. So a grave here adds +5 to build your building skills, or building ability in cities, +5 gold per turn, +5 mana, and +10 research. So all those the structures that you can clear out, like this right here, it gives you advantages to your empire if it's within your domain. And so you have your domain here. Another thing I like is the ability, or how it builds up houses throughout your domain, provided the terrain is suitable, depending on what city. So your people don't just live in the cities anymore, they live in outlying areas. So that's really a nice touch. It helps make you feel like you're changing the land. I started out with just that city up there was one that joined me. And that's another thing with independent NPC cities. You can either declare war on them, take them over by force, or spend gold to take them over, which is what we were used to in the previous games. But now, over time, they may offer you missions if you're nice to them. And if you complete this mission, which really aren't very hard, they'll join you for free. So, which is great for expanding your empire when you're not, when you're low on gold, as you will be in the beginning game. Another beautiful thing about it is, because race alignment is based on your own actions throughout the game, you don't have to worry with the stress of conquering a city of another race and then them just being hateful to you. So this is a goblin city, and as you can see, they're really happy with me. They're ranked like very, very happy. So that's awesome. And when you consider I'm playing as an elves, goblins being just insanely happy while being in an elven empire, that's just unheard of in the previous games. It was one thing to get the humans happy, but well, they're extremely happy too. So, because, I guess the simple way to put it is, racial tension is a lot less troublesome now. For example, I'm playing as elves, but I've got a goblin army with an orc leader, and as you can see here, their moral is very high. In previous games, the idea of an elf leader having a goblin army would just be unheard of. But I like how it does it, because the simple fact is, just like in real life, there's good and bad in all races. So now the fact that you can have goblins or orcs that care about the environment, aka archdruids, and I don't know, I guess there's a lot of less racial tension to worry about, which is nice. So overall, the game comes with it a lot of good features. One feature that I really like is the leveling up system of the previous games is now back, of Age of Wonders 1 rather. So for example, you get so many points now that you can put into skills. In Age of Wonders 2, it was annoying that you only had a choice of one of 3 things, and if you didn't choose, it would automatically pick for you. So if you were like me and wanted to get your defense skills up pretty high right away, well, then you better hope defense was one of those 3 options. But here you have points, and any unused points, unlike the original Age of Wonders, you don't have to wait to your next level to use them. So if, like, I had 1 point and I decided that, hey, I wanted to increase my melee strength with this hero, I wouldn't have to wait to the next level to do that. If I have the point, you can assign them at any time or save them till later, which is great. I'm glad to see that leveling system return. But yeah, overall, it's a great game, and when you consider it's selling for like only $40, but it comes with multiple classes to appeal to multiple play styles. All classes available to all races, so you can play as your favorite race, your favorite style. No longer, I mean, if you've always wanted to play as the elves that just don't care about nature, that just build tanks and stuff like that, you can do that now. I'm really kind of interested in playing it, because I've always loved the elves, so I'm kind of interested in seen elven musketeers, elven flame tanks. I think that would be pretty cool. Or you can play as a goblin or orc that's all about being good and caring about the environment, which will be interesting. It's, like I said, it's going to be strange to me considering I played all the previous games, but basically that's a good thing. It lets you play the race you want with the class you want. And while there's a stink lack of races, hopefully that'll be fixed with later DLC and things like that. But overall, and launch itself, I played this on launch. The launch was smooth. So I really like that, and for a game to have that much replayability with the random map, the campaign, the scenarios that come with it, the map editor that comes with it, all that for $40, that's really a pretty good deal considering a lot of games, like I think Battlefield 4, they don't have as much replayability, and they come out at $60+ and are basically unplayable at launch. Now, are there any problems with this game? Are there any annoyances? To some degree, yes. One thing that really annoys me is they revamped the transportation system, and I really don't like this. So, in Age of Wonders 1 and Age of Wonders 2, let's say you wanted to get a unit across a body of water. Well, in order to do that, you had to do this crazy thing. What it required you to do, I mean, it was just horrible, was you had to build a shipyard. Okay, and then from that shipyard you had to build ships, and then you had to bring those ships to where you wanted your units to pick it up. Then you'd have to embark those units on that. To me, that was not a problem because, well, that kind of makes sense. Age of Wonders 3 says, hey, you know what, if you research seafaring and then just clicked for your units to go right to the middle of the sea, don't worry, we'll automatically put them on a boat. Well, anyways, the point is, even though this unit has the ability to hover, that's why it's not shoving in a boat. Trust me, it will if you do have seafaring, that's all you have to do to transport your unit. So I have a unit that doesn't have the hovering ability. Okay, you'll be a fine example for us. Alright, so let's say this guy doesn't have the hovering ability. Let's just move him out into the sea. Alright, you see? It automatically put him on a ship. I really don't like that idea. I mean, for those of you that don't want to have to be bothered to build ships, you might like it, but seriously, I mean, this is a strategy game, and one of the things is you may think that's all awesome, but when you consider the fact that, take for example, this city was invaded, and the enemy just came across here, and once they landed, and it's annoying because you can see along the coastal area, they have no coastal cities that build shipyards, so the fact that they can travel across the sea with no shipyards is kind of annoying. I really hope this is something that's fixed. Also, in previous games, the mountains were unpassable unless you had the mountaineering ability, but here, let's say this guy, he doesn't have the mountaineering ability or anything like that, but hey, he can just walk across mountains like it's nothing. So, in previous games, you could theoretically, let's say, build a fort or something here, and the enemy would have to conquer this town in order to pass through. But now, that's pointless because they can just go around the mountains. So, movement is significantly less restricted, but considering it's a strategy game, I kind of deem that as a little bit of a problem. You should be able to strategically fortify positions and force the enemy to try to take these forts and things like that through sheer force, or get flying units, or go all the way around. That's the way they should have to go to breach it. So, I guess building a fort here is pointless because if you had an army, and since they have seafaring research, all they'd have to do is right-click, and then they'd just be able to teleport into a boat that would come out of nowhere, and then disembark here, completely going around my fortification, which is why I don't bother putting defenses in it. But, oh well. That's one of the problems with it. Another problem that, now, some people have cited it as a problem, and that is you have to have an account to get access to the features. And I did have a little bit of problem activating that account, mainly because the email was taking so long to be sent to me. But some people were saying, well, that's DRM. It requires you to be online and all that. You don't have to always be online to play. If you click to create your profile, and even if it isn't activated via the email, you can still click to play, and then it'll say, do you want to play it offline or something like that, which you can. So this isn't a game where you have to be online to play, which is good. And one problem people have been saying is, well, if you don't have an account or whatever, you have to play as a guest, all that stuff, and then your stuff isn't saved. That is a notable bug, which, according to the information, it's going to be patched right away. So there are a few problems with the game and a few annoyances, but from my experience, this in no way takes away from the overall feel of the game, because a lot of the new features that they add are very welcome. The game has a lot of replayability, a lot of character customization and hero customization throughout every game, so every game can be different in a way, and the fact that this game just only wants $40 to get a hold of it is just really nice. So overall, Age of Wonders 3 is a very worthy and very enjoyable entry into the Age of Wonders franchise. Definitely worth playing if you're a fan or a newcomer alike. It is a really good game. I do not regret my purchase in any way, and the few minor bugs that do exist, I'm sure won't take much longer to be fixed. And when you consider that it was pretty much flawless on launch, everything on launch day went smoothly. I had no connection problems from the time I finished installing it to the time I was in the game ready to start was in like a couple seconds, really. So a smooth launch, lots of character customization, lots of replayability, true to the franchise, true to the formula, making improvements in many areas. So overall, is an absolutely great game and definitely worth checking out. Anyways, this has been SchwarzFiat. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.